All right, we are live, and the New York Mets are fucking lucky the New York Knicks have all of New York happening right now, because there would be a fucking mob, an angry mob. Actually, let's be honest. I think we all kind of came into this season expecting this kind of like, we have our highs, we have our lows, and we have the malaise, which is the most annoying part of any baseball team season, which even the Braves go through shit like this. But when you lose games where you score like 1 run or 0 runs, you get no hit almost 2 fucking games like out of 3, you get your dicks kicked in by a division rival. At some point, you're just like, why do I even do this to myself? So shout out to the Knicks for keeping our heads on something that actually has a team that actually has heart and has some wins. And shout out to Coors Light for presenting the episode. As always, we love our Coors Light. They are the beer that is made to chill. There are plenty of chances in life to make things better by choosing chill. Becoming a Mets fan, not a way to choose chill. That's choosing
polar opposite of chill.
Throwing your soul into the fiery pits of hell, essentially. Grab every opportunity to choose chill, then reach for a refreshing Coors Light. They are the beer that's going to get us through this season. They're the beer that got us through the highs of 22, the lows of 22, and the future parades of 24, 26. We're going to say 2026 as of now. Hey, maybe 24 as well. Who am I to say? Punch, cake, Coors Light. When you embrace chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. So New York, choose chill and reach for Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. We're going to start off the episode with nice Steve Cohen tweet. let's just jump right into the fire. So this happened. I guess this tweet came like a couple days ago from a Mets News and Links Mets blog, I guess, and it said some afterthoughts on last Sunday's "Let's Blow It Up" post, which Steve Cohen replied to like days later and said, "All in the future, not much we can do until trade deadline." And this has Mets fans thinking Uncle Stevie is ready to just put some TNT around the team, blow it up, or maybe that means we're going to buy at the deadline, and it's just causing chaos, which then happened that, it hit another level because then Steve Cohen deleted the tweet. And Kevin, what do we know about deleting tweets? It's worse than tweeting it in the first place.
You never delete tweets. You never delete it. Now, this tweet, I think Steve probably meant don't worry, at the trade deadline, we'll make this team better. But when it's in reply to a post saying blow it up, I think that's where he got himself in trouble. There's either two scenarios. One, he meant it, like we're going to blow it up at the deadline. And yes, you're right. Or he was saying like, sit tight, don't worry, we're going to try to make moves. But when you're very vague about it and it's in reply to a blog post saying blow it up, it looks like you're co-signing the teardown. So for the 4 billionth time on this show, I'm going to beg Steve Cohen to get off of Twitter. It's his one thing that I just don't understand why he does it. Everything else he does makes sense to me. I know where other fans are just like screaming at him to get a World Series. I understand that it takes time. I understand that he is trying to build for the future while also giving us a product in the present. And that's a fine line to walk. And so I pretty much co-sign everything the guy's done, except for his Twitter. It's just always something. The risk reward of it, the return on it is so stupid. For every one tweet that people are like, oh yeah, you're a man of the people, there's like 4 tweets that are like, you're fucking things up, or you're feeding the media bullshit, or you're causing drama. So either he's saying blow it up. I mean, listen, if this man thinks we're buyers at the deadline, then maybe that'll be the second thing that I have a problem with Cohen. I just don't understand people who think this team. Like I saw a trending on Twitter for my tweets was like, playoff hopes, plummet as Mets fans, as discontent grows with the fan base. I'm like, who has playoff hopes for this team? It's like, I know that baseball is quirky and weird, and it's better to just be the team that gets hot in September. But like, look at the fucking players we're trotting out there. Look at the rotation. It's just does not last over 162. We're proving that it can't even last over like 40. So I don't know. I think he meant, don't worry, we'll buy in the future and try to like rally the fan base. And then I think someone said, hey, dude, that makes it look like you're co-signing a teardown. And so he deleted it. And now it's a whole clusterfuck.
I think it's one of two things. I think it's either we've all drafted that tweet that like makes sense in your head, and then everybody else reads it, and you just like he's not going to reply to everybody like, no, you're an idiot, you're not reading this correctly. Correct. Or he's a $20 billion man who has a burner account and tweeted it out from his main account, which would be insane.
I don't
absolutely asinine. But
I saw that.
The fact that it was this account that he replied to too, where it's like
what?
This
Has
old dude.
Have
you seen the thumbnail to the thing is just the guy's like face with his fedora. Who kind of looks like
Mac? Is that somebody? Because sometimes I don't know all the Mets blogosphere guys like you do. Like
no fucking idea.
That's not like he replied to, the 7 line or something that like everybody knows. It's Mac talking about his let's blow it up. Like Mac even being like reacting to my post about blowing it up. It's like, are you the only one? And this is like some Mets 21-28 shit. Who is this guy?
Is that literally the writer? Let me see this picture again. I'll put it on the screen here for it to mean. Like it looks like Branch fucking Rickey. It looks like Branch Rickey wrote the fucking thing in like the 1940s.
He like invented baseball.
But it's just the team is so bad right now that it's like it's one thing if we just lose and we look like absolute dog shit in the field, making errors. Lindor, like literally everybody in the infield made an error yesterday.
I know.
But then you have the owner tweeting mid-game about the trade deadline, and it's just adding fuel to the fire. It's like, why?
You think it's I don't think it's a burner. I guess people.
It would be insane.
To me, having a burner is like such a foreign concept to me that I can't even like get inside the mind of someone doing it. But particularly when if you're a loser, I get it. But this guy is like crushing life. Right. And the thought of like spending 1 extra second on Twitter anonymously rather than like, I'm going to go sit on my yacht. I'm going to go, drive my Ferrari. I'm going to go do whatever I want. I can't wrap my head around that. But at the same time, I think we've learned in the social media era that those sometimes are the people who do that shit most. So maybe
Kevin Durant has one,
right?
Yeah,
but like 100. He is 100.
yeah.
The fact that they're sitting like courtside at the Knicks and like on the ice for the Rangers and stuff, and like very much out there while their team is just like burning behind their back. They're literally the meme of the girl on the swing with the fire behind them, like just enjoying life because it doesn't fucking matter to them.
Yeah, I mean, also I think if you're tweeting from your burner, that's like you send like more like nastier shit. You know what I mean? Like you would say something different than like we gotta wait for the trade deadline. He could pretty much say that from his main account if he just worded it better. So I don't know if I buy the burner thing. I pray to God it's not the burner because I don't want him on an actual account. I certainly don't want him on an anonymous one.
Yeah, I don't even want him to know what a burner is. This is like Creed Thoughts. We need someone to give him the Creed Thoughts Microsoft Word doc, and he just fires his tweets in there. It's like, oh, Steve, you nailed that one.
The trade deadline's 75 days away, by the way. Like it's not like it's around the corner. It's like, hey guys, you're just gonna have to watch shit for the rest of the summer. Game 41, I think, was really when I was just like, I cannot believe I have to tune in to watch the Mets right now. And to have that happen this early in the season is just like absolute torture.
I mean, obviously they went on a little bit of a run after I consoled, but the whole time I was just thinking, guys, this team stinks so bad. I mean, like they're just, and you know what? Here's the real problem. We know the obvious holes, right? Every single Met fan, I think, is now on the Joey Wendell, get the fuck off my team train. We are all aboard on that. We all know who the holes of the lineup are. I know they said Jeff McNeil has an injured ligament, but at this point, I think the Jeff McNeil experiment might be over. We know all the problem spots, right? But it's also like, guess what? It's probably going to take another year for Diaz to like get back to his usual self. So now that's another hole that we thought was going to be, one of our strongest points. Diaz is back. Well, who knew? Turns out it's kind of hard to come back from a broken fucking femur or tibia or whatever the fuck he had, so we got to give him a little bit of grace. He's never going to do what he did again in 2022. And that's why I'll also say for the 4 billionth time on this podcast, shame on anybody who didn't enjoy 2022 and didn't take the time to recognize what was going on, because you'll probably never see a reliever do that again, let alone him on the same team again. I mean, he gave up 3 homers that year. He's already given up 4 now. We're never going to see that again. So forget about him being an all-world closer. Forget about him even maybe being a good closer. We have to realize that he's rusty, getting back into the swing of things, recovering from an injury, or just regressing. So it's like, not only do we have all of the holes, we are now also, realizing there's other ones that we thought were going to be a solid part of this team. It's not good. It's not good, guys.
Yep, the Diaz, and it's like usually back-to-back nights is when the numbers, if you see the splits,
yes,
it's like he's still lights out. And hey, I lived with K-Rod where we were paying him a ton of money, and he was like, I can't do back-to-back. And we're like, what the fuck did we sign him for?
He said no.
You closed every game of the Angels season the year before,
right?
Even the games you lost. Like, that guy, they worked him to the bone. But if it's like, hey, Diaz is a long-term thing. If he's the guy that goes at the deadline, I think it would be wild after we saw how good he can be. But just sad stuff here in Metsland. And now we get our boy Meek, the young soul.
The Dakotas.
Back from the Dakotas. How we doing, Meek?
Back from the Dakotas, where there's no Mets baseball on any TV. It's a better place.
Yeah, for real. Send us all. Forget about Consolina. Just send me to South Dakota.
I mean, I went 2-0 in Knicks games there, so I'm going to have to go back.
We're shipping your ass there on Sunday if we have to, then, if necessary.
I've seen a couple of your tweets, and I think I'm right there with you. I think it was the Braves game where we almost got no hit, and I think you said something like, ordinarily this would have me like fuming or on the edge of my seat or whatever, on the edge of like on the brink of a breakdown, and instead it's just like, I mean, you can't get mad at a bad team for playing bad.
I think Phil said a 19-21 team or a 20-20 team. He's not going to let that be the thing.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much it.
Like, even if let's say they want a 4 or 5 game winning streak, okay, you're right around 500. Like,
that's what they are. I'm actually surprised they're around 500. I picked I think I officially picked like 80 games, but my real prediction was like 70 something. So if they're around 500, I think that's a fucking.
That's why I hate the wild card.
Yeah,
this wild card is absolute fucking bullshit. We're 1 game out of the playoffs.
I know.
I don't want my team to be in the middle of the hunt for the last spot, because this isn't the Phillies. This isn't they're going to sneak their way in and then they have enough pieces.
That is insane that this team is 1 game out of the playoffs. Yeah, that is insane. They are 10-14 at home, playing .450 ball, and they are 1 game away from the postseason.
-9 run differential with everyone else.
So bad, dude. And what's even crazier, though, is that, like, I'm looking at the Nationals are like just as bad, if not worse than us. And I guess, the Braves and the Phillies will be like a lock for 1 and 2 there. And then, the Cubs or the Padres and the Diamondbacks are like a cut above. So like it'll probably be those teams. But what's crazy is like, the competition isn't all that stiff. These are all some pretty shitty teams.
And that's why you can just kind of like float through the season. You see how the injuries break. You see which players get hot. You go to the trade deadline as Uncle
That's
Stevie.
what he meant. That's what he meant.
But you know what, man? Like, this genuinely makes baseball hard for me, because like I do not, will not, and cannot watch 162 games of a team like this. But what if they sneak into the playoffs? And it's like, if my team makes the playoffs, I obviously want it to be a year where I'm watching and celebrating and experiencing, and we're in the trenches together. But I'm not going to watch 162 games of this. But maybe I have to, because there's this fucking ridiculous chance we make it. It's like, I'd rather not watch at all than deal with this circus. This is
the
crazy.
2015 Mets really screwed everybody's head up, because that team was dog shit too until the trade deadline. And now they could just point to that over and over and over again. It's like, well, yeah, Daniel Murphy became a first ballot Hall of Famer in the playoffs and just like scooted us through the entire thing. You want to Cespedes, same thing. It's like, is this team capable of that?
Yeah, but also that team was stacked with pitching.
Yeah.
Stacked. So
but don't forget, we're getting Senga back. They're going to definitely pedal that out there.
We were playing like dog shit, but we were underachieving.
Right.
This is like we're achieving where we're supposed to be, So
satisfactory. That's like in the kid's report card.
Yeah.
Just S's everywhere.
Is this team good at any one particular thing?
Phil, you're turning
hang
into
on, your
Darth
audio's
Vader
off.
again.
Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Turn your mic off and then on again. Maybe it'll.
We got our mics breaking down, the team on the field.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
No.
X out and come back in.
How about now?
Yeah.
Better.
You're good.
Better.
Yeah.
Is this team good at any one particular thing, or should I say it in Darth Vader voice? Is this thing good at any one particular thing? What's one thing this team is good at?
Disappointing me.
Like,
Allowing base runners to steal bases.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they don't hit, they don't pitch, they don't stop the
Ready?
steal, they don't steal bases.
This is
they don't
from
feel
Michael
well.
Barron. The Mets have lost 15 of their last 22 games. They're hitting 218, 282, 343. They're averaging 3.41 runs per game, which seems very high.
Yeah.
Pitching is a 4.43, and they're walking 4.71 batters through 9. There is no success there.
This is an easy one to look up. Where are we now in the ERA in the National League? Because when we were sitting at number 1 and people were telling me you canceled too soon. We have the best pitching in the NL.
13.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 13 out of what? 14, 15, whatever.
No, 30.
I meant the National League.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, it's probably,
6 out of 15.
That is crazy. Even that feels crazy to me. I mean,
The league in walks by a mile.
So bad, dude. So bad. And even, this is also where I've fully come back around. I was the old man who learned new tricks, and now I'm going back to my old ways. I really feel like people not caring about batting average is coming back to bite you, because it's you look at a guy like Pete and Lindor and these guys who will hit you home runs, but if in between those home runs, you're not getting any other hits, you're never just, getting regular ass hits that you're batting 300 or, God forbid you even bat 320 anymore. There's just you don't string together any rallies. You don't string together any wins. It's all feast or famine because it's either an out or a homer. And part of me is I want to get back to a world where I understand the emphasis on other things, but 210, 215 is not acceptable either. We gotta meet me somewhere in the middle. You gotta balance.
It would be acceptable if they were hitting a bunch of home runs. They aren't doing that.
Yes. 9 home runs for Pete. If he had fucking 18, I'd be like, whatever you want to do, dude. 9th is you're gonna have a decent season home run wise, and you're gonna bat 210. It's
9 home runs, 21 RBIs. It's not even almost all of his RBIs are of his homers.
Right.
And there's nobody on base.
I'll tell you, man, for a contract year.
Well, did you see the report from Joel Sherman? It was, I think, last year was when they offered him. Well, I forgot what the total number was. It was around what Freddie Freeman.
158 over 7. Yeah.
It was around what Freddie got.
At the time, I could see why he'd be like, I got Steve Cohen. I've never hit, I've hit 50 before. I'm an automatic 40 home run guy. But when it's something like you're getting paid the same as Freddie Freeman, it would be very hard for me to turn down that money. Being just a genuine, rational person. If I was a first baseman and someone said, we're going to pay you the same as this other first baseman, and that's Freddie fucking Freeman, I think I'd probably say yes, to be honest. I really do.
You saw what Aaron Judge did. It's I'm going to bet on myself. And he forgot, I'm probably not Aaron Judge.
Aaron, he's not even close anymore, dude. I mean, 60 home runs. And what was he batting that year, too? I mean, it's not even
the Triple Crown. It was 300.
Right. It's come on. You cannot compare yourself to that, guys. You're a much more of a Freddie Freeman than a Aaron Judge, and you're probably not even Freddie Freeman. So
he also turned that down and then went and made Scott Boras his agent after the fact. So it's
I thought that was because of Boras.
No, that was his own decision. And then he also decided, well, if you guys think this is what I'm worth and this is what you're trying to negotiate for me, I'm going to go get the guy who gets everybody paid.
Again, though, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can go through the numbers. I don't think he's that guy anymore. I feel like he's left a lot of dudes out to dry recently. I feel like a lot of times he gets money, but other times he doesn't. It's not automatic anymore.
Freddie Freeman also had 6 top 10 MVP finishes, including an MVP winning season.
Yeah.
And he hit the market, which, like, if you hit the market, you should get more, obviously. So the Mets are putting in a little bit of a discount there. But you're also probably paying, like, the hometown, we want to take care of your tax that Stevie's going to pay. Like, he paid with Nimmo. He paid with McNeil, who's driving everyone fucking crazy.
Well,
right
what did Nimmo get?
It was like 160. I forgot how many years. It was 160.
That if I'm Pete, and Nimmo's great. Don't get me wrong. I know, by I think certain metrics, he's like a top 5 hitter. But if I'm Pete, I'm looking at that being like, well, that's at least where we're starting. We're not going any lower than that, And I know the years are different and all that shit, but like, if I'm Pete, I can understand why he's asking for, then I want 200 because I hit 40 fucking home runs a year. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm coming around on other things these days where it's more important than just home runs.
In your guys' mind, who's untouchable? Because I still don't care what anyone says about like the production for Pete. I think now we're going to get him at a discount, and you also still have to keep him as like the franchise guy who's going to break all your records, because he will. If they keep him on the team, he's still going to do all of those things, and then like
he's going to break the records in by next season. Forget about it.
Everyone's like, oh, you got to get rid of him. It's like, I think you can get him now for less than cheaper. Yeah. It's a Conforto deal where Conforto did the same thing, and it was like, well, you fucked that up. Well, here's the money, take it or leave it. I think that's an option.
Yeah, no, I still think if he was like lights out and was going to demand like $300 million, and we were really talking about a teardown, and you could get like a ransom for him, I don't think there's any reason to move him anymore. Like I don't think.
Also, first baseman at the trade deadline with 2 months left. He ain't getting much for you anyway. You're going to be balancing. Are we going to get more or less than what the qualifying offer is if he leaves?
Yeah.
You're better off just getting rid of Martinez, who like we waited for this whole time. And it's like, well, he's going to be more valuable to a team at the deadline.
Yeah.
And he's probably not going to affect much either because he's a rental DH. It's old.
Right.
But, I mean, there's always some team that like if your offense is struggling, but you have great pitching and you're right on the verge, like a guy like JD is. You're not going to get – I'm not saying you're going to get like a boatload for him, but like that's probably a guy you should move because what the fuck else – you don't have a future with him.
That's why we should have – like that's why everyone wanted us to trade for him, and he didn't get traded at that trade deadline in 22, right? We were the exact team that needed the JD Martinez. We got Darren Ruff instead, and JD already had the back. I think that was with Boston, right? He was with Boston.
Yeah. He was awful at August, so it wouldn't have mattered.
But, I'll also say I am very impressed with Stearns so far doing the little moves. So I'm interested to see what he can get for some of these, like it might not even seem like a big deal to us, but this prospect is good and this guy is going to be a star and all that shit. So
shout out to our guy, Joe DeMeo too. They had him on the That's So Mets podcast.
Yeah, that's a great get.
Got him on. That's a great get.
That was a great get for them.
Vientos played the field once, and immediately everyone's like, you got to get rid of Martinez because that guy can't play the field. He's the only going to be the DH. I'm like, he's literally been up for 2 games.
Yeah.
Yep.
What were you saying, Phil?
They didn't wait to call up Christian Scott, Joey Wendell. He admitted failure of like a month in, so I'm going to wait till like July to cut him.
Dude,
like,
Joey,
just stuff like that. Relievers.
Frank the Tank's Joey Wendell rant when he was like, he was saying like, why didn't you keep Zach Short? But then he also like was like, Zach Short sucks too, and then came back to his rant on Joey Wendell. It was fucking great. Everybody catching strays, man. Yeah, they're just like, I mean, who would you move? Who could you move?
Any of the pitchers, really. Any starters movable.
Yeah,
Quintana.
Yeah, I guess Quintana would have some value.
If they're really going to blow it up, Reed Garrett would fetch.
Yeah.
Reed
Garrett's the guy.
He's going to be
that's a guy that's a guy you should move because I don't think he's going to do this again. So it's like the Aaron Loop effect or whatever, where it's like you think these guys are like the next great reliever, and it's like no, these things are year to year. So get what you can for Reed Garrett right now. But it's more like, I mean, no. there's nobody because everybody has either a big contract or they're not good. Right? Like,
or they're young. Christian Scott, baby. Just what, it's Scott Day, like great Scott. Like, we have to figure out a way to market this more so we have that fucking one day that we look forward to every week, like Harvey Day back in the day.
I'm telling you, I would love to blow it up though. I agree with everything you said about Pete, but like, I don't want to do this for many years. So let's expedite this shit as fast as possible, which means let's get as much young talent as we can and go as low as we can to get back up high, because this middle of the road, no, not even middle of the road, like low part of the road fucking blows dick. I hate it, man. It used to be like my favorite thing. Come home from a day of work, you put on the ball game, and now it's work every fucking night. It's like,
you know what I compare it to, Kevin? You kind of like set it up there too. Something you used to love, and now you're like, this. It's kind of the New York Mets, 2024 New York Mets, and this core in particular. They're single stuff Oreos. You growing up, you fucking loved Oreos. Fucking love them. You just come home and you peel them apart, you dunk them in milk, you eat them a million different ways. And then you had double stuff. And you're like, these things, and now I've gone back to single stuff, which, let's be honest, like during this inflation or whatever the fuck's going on, they're like half stuff at this point.
Don't get me started on this. I know you're doing a baseball analogy, but I'm going to go off on American agriculture and food and shit and inflation, and it's going to be a problem because double stuff Oreos are now single stuff Oreos, and single stuff Oreos are no stuff Oreos, and we're getting fucking robbed. And
it's snackflation because the bags of chips are the same thing. You open it up and you're like, this is a bag of air.
It's
for $5.
And you look at the numbers, like inflation accounts for like this much of the price raise, and then this much is just corporate greed. Fuck you, Nabisco. You're stealing our stuff. Give back our stuff.
And that's being a Mets fan right there. What Kevin just said, and watching the same shit, you're like, oh, Jeff McNeil's out there. He won a batting title, and there's Pete, and Starling Marte drove us in 22. And it's like you have the warm feeling of Oreos from back in the day. I got a Costco pack. These things were on sale. It's like $5 for a giant box, and there's less stuffing in that giant box than like a regular double stuffed Oreo.
That is a great fucking call. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing, but since we have terrible diets, Clem, it's fucking eating cookies. It looks on paper, at least the offense, not the pitching, but on paper it looks like a double stuffed Oreo, and you take a bite and there's no cream in there. There's no stuffing. It's like it's just not working. I don't know if there's a way, you can move some of these guys and keep their money. Or pay their money. It's just
you're stuck with a lot of them, and that's also why it's just like the ones you want to move, no one's gonna want, and the ones you want to hang on to is the reason people want them. So it's like in my head, there's two. It's Pete and it's Diaz because we've never had a closer that I've ever. Even now, when he's like off, I'm still more for him than literally anyone else in my lifetime. So it's like you want to keep those two guys, and then everybody else should be up for sale. But it's like. Who's asking for them? Like Marte, who's asking for Marte? Like 80? Like what are we doing?
That there's like some desperate teams who I don't know.
It's the same story every year. It's like, we have a couple of relievers if you want them. It's like, what are we doing with that?
Yeah, no, you're just a bad team and you got to ride it out. There's no quick fix here.
When there's a bad team, there's only one thing you do to make them look better, and that is go to Barstool, the Ballpark, and get some unlimited beer for 3 hours or 7 innings, whatever comes first. That's right. Barstool, the Ballpark is back. This isn't even an ad read. I'm just making it sound like an ad read. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I apologize for the people watching on video.
Look at that lineup. 410, 410, 410, 410, 410. This is our greatest Barstool, the Ballpark lineup ever. Gives you enough time to get to the park and get that extra hour of drinking in before.
Plus the pregame tailgate. Yes. You got a Coors Light sponsored tailgate before every single one of these.
So we'll probably be out there by 1 o'clock or some shit, 2 o'clock, whatever. Then you get in there, get your free hour before the first pitch. Then you go to the alcohol cutoff, and it's the social event of the season here. It's like I actually, to be perfectly honest, Barstool, the Ballpark is oddly best when the team sucks. Yeah, because when the team is good, I want to sit there and watch. It's when they're in the bad years from like 16, 17, 18, 19, those years, we would hang out on the concourse and like literally not even watch the game. It was just like going to a bar and you have free beer. You're outside. It's a beautiful summer afternoon / evening. and it's with all a bunch of people who are all miserable together. It makes it easier when the team is bad.
Kev, when those years that you just mentioned, I think about when I would go and I would talk about what the Knicks were going to do that offseason.
Yep.
And then like Giants, Jets, football stuff. And we were like, oh yeah, these idiots are playing too.
And occasionally someone hits a home run and you look over and you're like, was that us or them? It was them, whatever. Yeah. Okay, take your beer. It's a great night out.
Yeah, they'll still give us, dildos in the lockers or something like that. We get some LOL Met stuff coming up. And we got it, thanks to Uncle Stevie and stuff with the promotions. A lot of them are on Saturdays. We have the Darryl Strawberry retirement game on June 1st against the D-backs. We have the City Connect uniforms we worn against the Astros on June 29th. The Braves game on July 27th. The Mercury Mets.
That's so fire, dude. That's so fire.
Marlins, August 17th, they'll be wearing the City Connects. And then the Phillies, September 21st. It's Fan Appreciation Beanie Day. So got a bunch of games lined up. And hey, I'm going to just say it. I'm pretty sure we're going to be in the wild card race the entire fucking season because it's nothing but shitty teams like us tied for the last wild card.
No, you'll be there Saturday, June 29th. There'll be a game out of the wild card probably. A few games under 500 and a game out the wild card.
These guys are going to play 460 ball the whole way. If that gets you a playoff push, they legit need to rethink this and go back to the old way. That's I understand playoff expansion and more money and more games and all that shit, but you reach a point where it has the opposite effect where it's well, now none of this matters anymore.
That's why I don't like the NBA.
Yeah.
So many of those teams make it. It's well, what's the point?
Yeah. But even that is
this was the one thing where it was they had to move away from just the division winners because you needed more teams to play. But now it's gone so far.
Yeah.
It's
funny.
So watered down.
I don't know if I mentioned this on our last pod, but I did the dog walk where we drafted a slugger, a leadoff man, a starter, a reliever, and a manager. And we're just talking. And anytime someone drafted a guy from the 90s, 2000s, our eyes lit up. We talked for 10 minutes. Oh, I love this. I love that. Yada, yada. And it's no one from today's game got drafted because it's baseball has just hit the background. Yeah. And it was pennant races are awesome. Now it sucks when your team's out of it, but they're fucking awesome when your team's in it. And baseball records used to mean something, and steroid era kind of did ruin that. But it's all that shit is just gone now, and now you're just watching 162 games, and it's other than that sick fuck that calls himself the Rocket, who gives a shit about the other sick fuck Meek Phil actually too? Who gives a shit about the other 29 teams?
I was gonna say so. Our next episode we'll be wrapping up with we have 3 games versus the Marlins. We'll probably be around 500 after a sweep of them next week. I don't want to be convinced this team is good. I just want to say that.
Set a reminder for yourself, Phil. Set a reminder for yourself. 11 a.m., May 23rd. The Mets are not good.
Let me tell you something. I don't care how bad the Marlins are, and I know they are putrid. Any Met fan penciling in any sweep this year is irresponsible.
Yep.
I want to say that before I have to jump on Pick Central because Dude's got the Nashville trip of Marty while I had the fucking Dakotas. So I had to go help out with them. You can tell I would have liked to have gone to Nashville over the Dakotas, but the Dakotas were nice. So I just wanted to get that out the way before I dipped.
All right.
Phil, I love that he loves the Dakotas.
Better Wi-Fi in the Dakotas than in the office, I'm sure.
Meek Phil's 1-sentence review of the Dakotas. Pretty good. Not as good as Nashville, but pretty
He stayed in the hotel room the whole time. He was I had a great time.
He watched sports that he does. It's it doesn't matter.
I will say this about the Mets.
The Knicks, right?
Yeah. I will say this about the Mets. They did give us a couple of one of them was, oh my God, we're going to get no hit by the fucking Braves, which was a low point at the moment. But the fact that they ended it with a home run last batter, that was beautiful.
Yep.
And then Nimmo had a walk-off. That was sweet. But then they almost had a perfect game thrown against them, which was not sweet. Diaz blew a save. Definitely not sweet. So, this is just the fucking life we've signed up for, Kev.
Nimmo doesn't have that walk-off, and this is the longest losing streak we've had all year. So
Jesus. I think it's going to get really ugly. I don't think we're going to be in the wild card. I think it's going to get really ugly.
I think it's going to be similar to last season where it's we could have potentially been in the hunt, but they sold off and it made us even worse. So if they do that and we're already bad, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. That second half has potential for I'm not even going to check scores, let alone watch games. If they sell, oh my God.
I changed my cable provider for these motherfuckers.
So did I. Well, you want to talk about TV, bullshit?
Pretty nice.
I'm not gonna disparage them because who knows if they're gonna come on to sponsor at one point for Barstool. But I have one channel that doesn't fucking work. Exactly one. And it's the only one I need to work. It was cutting out all game long. And then it cuts back in and there's runners on second and third. I'm like, what is going on?
Oh my God.
Unreal.
So yeah, we'll switch to the happy side
bless
of
the New York Knicks, because holy moly, we'd have nothing here.
Our next segment is brought to you by DraftKings. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases full, down 3. The crowd on their feet. Probably not the Mets, let's be honest. The drama of baseball is real, and so is all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook. From the first pitch to the final out, DraftKings has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odd boosts, and so much more. Hey, if you want to just like get out of having to like live it out with the Mets, you just get to responsibly place a bet on some DraftKings or something like that, and you get to like watch that game. So we have, let's see, tonight. What do we have on the agenda here? Late night. Tyler Glass now with the Dodgers minus 325. Heavy duty favorites out there. The Astros minus 205 favorites on the money line. The Astros are not very good this year. Cubbies, Justin Steele, friend of the program. Him and Marty are doing some stuff minus 130. They're in the wild card race with us as well. So plenty of lines.
Do the Timberwolves stay alive tonight, Clem?
Do the Timberwolves stay alive?
They're minus 2.5.
Edwards, dude. I love him.
I love him. Like, I was thinking, I love Anthony Edwards and I love Wemby. Those are like, I'm a whore for both of those guys. I love Anthony Edwards. I would give, and not just because he's like exactly the type of basketball I like and amazing at it, but off the court, he's unbelievable. The way he handles the press, the way he handles his teammates, he's fucking great, dude.
Everyone is. It's become the point where it's like, I don't want to say he's like a young Jordan, and then there's that picture really fucks up your brain because it's just embedded in there.
What a brutal kick in the dick for Wolves fans to win the first 2 in Denver and be like, yo, like we're gonna do this thing, and then you lose 3 in a row, and now your backs are against the wall.
Minnesota life right there. For all we complain as New York fans, which, we don't have a lot of highs as well. We get more than those guys would just get vanished in the first round against the Yankees with the Twins. And then the Wolves, like once every 10 years come up and they just get, I hope they do not come to the East. I want Anthony Edwards out there. It was not fun rooting against Michael Jordan. It was not fun rooting against LeBron James. I don't want to do it with Anthony Edwards. So, if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customer bet $5 to get 150 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BELIEVE. That's code BELIEVE for new customers to get 150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, New York Knicks talk. We coming off this show would be completely different if that game 5 had gotten another way. I don't know if I would have woken up this morning, boys.
Dude, if game 5 went the way game 4 went, game 4 was scary. That was like, oh shit, wait a second.
Want a little confession time here. Game 4, my wife, it was Mother's Day, obviously. So Sienna was at a play practice and she's like, oh, do you want her to get, do you want me to get her? I'm like, you're asking that on Mother's Day. What I'm going to do. Yeah. So it was like right at fucking tip. I had to leave. And I'm like, it's all right. I'll be home. And then like they went late. So I'm watching on my phone. And it's like down 10, down 12. We're like, all right, here, we'll have our run. And we get it, trim it to 5. And it's like down 20.
Down 17.
Down 30.
and going.
And it was bananas. And it's like, all right. And then by the time I got home, it was like they were down 40. And it was a godsend because Tibbs would have then put in Brunson back in.
I know. You know what? No joke. That game might save them this series because the Knicks are fucked. They're great, but they're fucked right now. They are facing first. I mean, this is classic Tom Thibodeau, but it's not his fault this time because the Knicks had so many injuries. They would essentially have an entire second starting roster, if they had Randall, OG, Mitch, and Boyan. So, like, it's not his fault, but he's known to run guys into the ground, and now we're faced with a situation where you have to run guys into the ground. That's not a good combo. And the worst part about it is every game it just gets worse because they just get more tired and more banged up. So I almost think punting that game was like I had a tweet ready to say it, but you had said to me, we know it's going to be close with 2 minutes to go because that seems to be like the way it always went. And I was thinking like, I think they're going to run away with this one. So just start resting these guys now. And I think had they not opened up that lead, he would have kept trying. And I think the fact that we got some rest there might actually have been important in the long run because you just can't keep doing this.
Yep, they saved Tibbs from himself. Josh Hart actually got Josh Hart. It looks like a typo. It's like 24 minutes. Like what the fuck?
What? Yeah. Did he lose his legs? What?
And then game 5 hits, and I mean that for the people who watch the team all season, it's like that is the Knicks. That's been this team. When everyone got hurt back, the beginning of the season, they're still feeling themselves out. But this team, every time shit went bad, even when they're down 20, like on the road or something, they always trim it back to like 2, take the lead, and then fresher legs would prevail or whatever. But this team is a fucking fighting team. You're gonna have the coaching advantage almost in every series. We saw like last year, Spoelstra was like the first time. I was like, fuck. It's like Miami is like one of the few guys that can match Tibbs. And it's like, they mix them the Juice switch, and Juice just fucking gives Halliburton nightmares. Halliburton talked a lot of shit during game 4, and that boy went quiet during game 5. MSG was an absolute loony bin. Alec Burks looked like Alec Burks from that fucking from the Hawk series. That game.
Dude, John Starks almost checked himself into the game.
I'm telling you,
he's almost on the court.
That's probably what these Knicks are trying to. Like, if we don't give enough, Starks and fucking Marbury is making a case too. They're like, someone said they're like the AAU dads on the sideline. They're eating popcorn and giving chest bumps and shit like that. So,
dude, let me tell you something. And again, I always put up the disclaimer. I didn't watch, all year long. I was kind of just kept my eye on them. So I'm more casual than you diehards. So, but the fact that Jalen Brunson is my second favorite player on this team is madness and insanity and a testament to my boy Hartenstein, because that boy is one of the most likable guys I've ever seen in sports history. I mean, the Knicks, I think, trying to be unbiased, even if I was not a New Yorker, I think the Knicks are one of the most likable teams like ever. There's nothing to really hate. There's no like loud mouths. It's just like everybody tries hard, and there's some good shooters, and then there's some junkyard dogs, some lunch pail guys. And Hartenstein had like 12 offensive rebounds the other day, 16 boards, 12 of them were offensive. He's throwing back tip dunks. He's blocking dudes. Like he's this tall, like monster looking motherfucker. He's got the deep voice. The whole thing about can he say it or not was just like so funny this year. He is just the best to root for. And when you got guys like that are likable, because sometimes in the NBA you can have a good team, but it's like, oh, these guys are such assholes. This team is so awesome to root for. So the fact that, Jalen Brunson, who's doing things on the court that I literally have never watched as a fan. Like I've never seen, as a Knicks fan, it's like Allen Houston would shoot the lights out, and Melo every now and then had his, moments where he was a bucket. But I don't know, man. Jalen Brunson, he does it every possession. It's every fucking possession. It's either a floater or a 3 off a dribble or coming off a pick, or he's making the play happen. I would love to see a stat of like percentage of points he's responsible for. I bet it's like 79% of our points. It's insane.
Anything that's not offensively rebounded and put back in by Hartenstein is essentially Jalen Brunson. He's like everything you want off the court. Like in the interview post game, he's like, still have to work. He's always looking like angry and tired, and he definitely is probably.
Did you see the clip of Josh Hart? Him and Josh Hart have the podcast.
Yeah.
And Josh Hart was just flaming him for being like a coach's pet, and he was like doing this Jalen Brunson voice. Josh Hart was like, "Yeah, man, like you're always like, come on, guys, coach is right. Coach is right. We gotta play harder, guys. Come on." And Jalen Brunson's like, "That's not how I say it, dude. That's not how I sound." And at the end of it, it was funny. Like, Jalen Brunson was like, well, what do you do? What do you do on the court? And Josh Hart goes, "I go out there and run around like an idiot and fuck shit up." I was like, yes, I love these guys so fucking much. Let's go, fuck shit up.
It's crazy, man, but like they somehow got like the same exact DNA as those 90s Knicks. And you heard it a lot with like those old Bull teams that Tibbs was with, right? It's like when I saw them, like I hate the Bulls, but I fucking respect the shit out of them. And we're like slowly trying to build that same kind of like culture here. And it's like next guy up. And you have to get the guys here. Hartenstein, they signed him. And they're like, that's a dude. And he's been everything you'd want him to do,
Bro, think about him. Everybody, the internet, the announcers, everyone knows it. He's got to know it every night he lays his head down. Everybody keeps saying that boy is going to get paid. That guy went from, like can I get some meaningful minutes to like, I'm going to get a fucking max contract because I'm a big man that you need to win a title.
2 years. I think they said he fell in the draft because someone flagged. I think the Nets misdiagnosed like a knee injury or something like that. Then he got 2 years. Then the Clippers, he was ready to take a pay cut to stay with them.
Yeah.
Because they gave him a shot and they were like, nah. Then the Knicks were like, he's like 2 years, 16 mil at the Knicks. He's like, because I felt wanted here. I don't know, man. I'm terrified of like if like an OKC can offer him like a bag because they need size and they're going to be a contender. But like, why do you want to go out west, face Jokic, face Wemby, face Ant, face Luka, face that whole fucking gauntlet, or face like maybe Embiid if he's healthy? The Celtics are going to be good for a little bit.
Do what you do, like do what like his career will be like what he's done this playoffs. You know, he'll be like running shit. Like it depends on the disparity of money. But I also like if they go try to trade for a megastar, I wonder if he would be in that path. I guess not because he'd be a free agent. But I'm
going to tell the people too the secret weapon to getting Isaiah Hartenstein to stay with the New York Knicks is Mrs. Hartenstein, the Courtney Keller
model, right?
Supermodel.
Can we bring her up?
Yeah, let me pop her up on the thing. I got it here.
She's gorgeous, right?
Absolute stunner. Are you going to tell me a model?
Jesus.
This woman, she's going to want to raise a child in Westchester County. You know,
hell
the
yeah.
modeling biz gig, the modeling, the center of modeling is
think of Fashion Week. You don't want to have to fly to Fashion Week. You can just take an Uber into the city. You know, have your kiddies run around up in Westchester where the Knicks practice. Come on, goodness, yo. My boy did good. Good for him. Living the fucking dream.
Also, I had to shout him out for this too, because I didn't notice this at the time, but a lot of people have forwarded it. That was Hartenstein's hand. Did you notice that? I thought that was Alec Burks' hand.
Oh yeah, that little goodbye.
Goodbye. Give him the back. I've never seen a backhand flip off.
Dude, that's the blackest Hartenstein's ever looked because I thought it was Alec Burks' hand. Yeah,
it's palm of his hand.
He's got reverse palms.
Yeah, because his dad's black, his mom's white, and no one ever. You look at him, you wouldn't think that. So, and Burks got a fucking technical for that too.
Yeah,
because he was like getting in their business. So it was kind of funny how that worked out. So.
I love him. He's incredible. I mean, obviously, you know. I say he's my favorite player, but Jalen Brunson is, like I said, I just never watched a player. Like if you're a fan of the Warriors and you watch guys like Steph or when LeBron gets hot or Dame time when in his prime, like when you watch a guy who just cannot be stopped in basketball, I think it's one of the coolest things you can see in sports. It's just like you literally cannot stop me, you know?
Yep. I said it.
I think it's because he's lefty. I think he's got the floater in his bag. He's got the right moves to be able to be unstoppable because it's not just like a one-trick pony. It's incredible.
He's crafty, you know. He's crafty, and it seems like he's going to be durable. So I said it like
thick. He's a thick boy, and he gets away with a lot of offensive fouls. I have no problem calling it. He throws his shoulders around and draws fouls that are like, that's definitely an offensive foul, but. Oh, by the way, I cannot stand reviews in the NBA. I hate them.
Oh, they're the worst.
I know I'm an old man yelling at the cloud, but man, it just the other day when there was like 4 reviews in like a minute span, it was like, oh, play ball. I hate it.
The way that the reviews are, it's like you lose the timeout no matter what. You don't get the challenge back if you get it right. It's like when us at Barstool when we like come up with a policy and we don't think it through and we're like, yeah, this is the policy, and then like the 10 most obvious issues with the policy immediately flare up. It's like, yep. Yeah, so that is very frustrating.
You can only do it in the fourth quarter or some shit. I'm sick of these like reviewing of off the ball foul in the second quarter. Who fucking cares, man?
So yeah, thank God for the Knicks. And like I saw someone said in the chat too, I wish the Mets fought like the Knicks or passed that. Yeah. Like there is definitely a part of that. And this is a team that like New York any city could rally around them, but New York in particular, that's why everyone loved the 90s Knicks. And I said it like a couple months ago. And I was like, I think Jalen Brunson's already my 3rd favorite Knick of all time. Yeah. And I just can't put him above Ewing and Oakley just because they had so many years. But, I mean, he keeps this shit going. I'm just going to have to just say, fuck it. Like, I love you guys.
If he has, like, a full career with the Knicks, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I love those guys, too. But he plays like them. And better than them, in a modern era where it's, I mean, he's still got to check a couple things off on his resume. You got to like try to get to a finals. You got to, really show out for the franchise. But man, what I wish they did? Just left him in there, let him hit 2 more triples, 2 more 3 balls, having a 50-point game at the Garden in the playoffs on your resume. That's some bucket list shit. He still had an incredible game, but 44 points, it was enough time for him to get a few more buckets. Could have had a 50 burger. That would have been nice to have. But if I'm in the trust tree, I want them to finish off Indiana. I feel like, that they are by far the better team. And if they didn't have injury problems, I think that it would be no doubt about it. The injuries and the rest makes it a little bit precarious, but I think they'll still get the job done. I think running into the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals with as many injuries as they have, down as many players as they are, is going to be a very tough task. But I feel like getting there will be, enough of a step forward for them as a franchise. I don't think the Celtics are tough. They're very, very, very talented, but the Knicks might be able to out tough them if they get there. But at some point, running 5 or 6 guys, 40, 42, 44 minutes a game against great talent is very tough to sustain. So
yeah, I said I was going to bet the Knicks every series because I said unless injuries happen, and so far so good. Knock on wood if they could close this one out. And I said when they face the Celtics, I bet them too because the number is going to be worthy of it, in my opinion.
Right.
There'll be enough in the Knicks' favor. And it's I can see the path of how they'll do it. It's just you're going to need OG back for that series, for sure. Yep. Brunson's going to need to be healthy, or at least healthier than he was in games 3 and 4. And like you said, if Alec Burks can keep, being good enough so we can have an 8-man rotation instead of getting enough. And then it's the toughness, Tibbs versus, fucking the town Joe Mazzulla over there and shit like that. I see the path. It's just a matter of whether or not it can happen. So it might be like Doctor Strange, just one way.
Yeah, there's one scenario where it all works out because you're just gonna keep putting minutes on these guys, and eventually, I see a lot of old school analysts being it's the playoffs and we used to play every game, every minute. It's okay, fine, but I don't know. It's not realistic to ask 5 or 6 guys to play against a full roster of professional basketball players. It's just not.
Tibbs is a wizard too at the minutes too. They say it a couple times on the broadcast, but he always has it where he takes out Brunson, then there's the TV timeout, then he takes a timeout, and it's Brunson's been on the bench for 8 minutes of real time, and it's only 2 minutes of game time, and it's that goes a long way.
I mean, you have to do that because the difference when he's on the court and not on the court is, I don't think the casual fan, the outside fan who's not a Knicks fan watching the playoffs for the first time, I don't think they realize that the Knicks' 6th and 7th man is actually their 9th and 10th man. So, you put in Jericho Sims and you put in these guys who can't, they're rattled, they're nervous, they can't dribble, they can't pass, they're getting backcourt violations, they're doing ridiculous things because they're I should not be in the game in the postseason. So
there's a guy named Charlie Brown Jr. who's one injury away from getting minutes, and that's all you need to know about how fucked up the Knicks can be.
I want everybody sleep in a cryogenic chamber, hyperbaric chamber, whatever. Get your rest, eat your Wheaties. No partying. You need to rest I want you to sleep every minute in between each game. Get as much rest as you humanly can.
Pabs, are you around? Let's get Pabs' call for game 6 of the series. If he's
Mr.
around.
Italy watching at 4 a.m. the other day.
Italia.
Is he there?
He's not there right now.
He might be doing work.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I was watching that game at 4 a.m. in Italy, and Fights was in the other room watching the Bruins. But it was thank God we won because waking up at 5 or waking up at 6.
If you stayed up till 4 to watch game 4, that would have sucked a dick.
So I right now have missed every single Knicks loss due to flights or due to having to work. Can't look at my phone. Or
so wait, what's your schedule like then?
Yeah,
my schedule is now cleared for the rest of the month.
All right,
not anymore. I missed one I had to go to a play. 2, 3. I missed.
Oh, 3. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah,
that was so funny. I got a text from young Pavs. the young Padawan. He said,
"Oh boy,
I agreed to go to a Broadway show with my girlfriend and another couple on a double date, and it's game night. Like, he didn't realize that it was the same night as one of the games.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, we've all been there before. It's something that, we've all had to deal with.
I agreed 6 months ago. I had no idea that it was
right.
I should have thought. I should have looked. But then we lost. So it's clear when I watch games, Knicks win basketball games. So
clear your schedule. No work, no out of order, no KFC radio. You are off for the rest of the month. Let's make this run, baby.
Oh, one quick thing about the Knicks. I would die for Isaiah Hartenstein.
Literally jump in front of a car for him. Yep.
And Dante DiVincenzo. They are so cool, calm, and collective. When people come at them, they don't get emotional. They just say, "Get the fuck out of my face."
DiVincenzo's got that dog in him. Like,
he's got that dog in him. Yeah. He's got both of them got big balls, and they're I wouldn't fuck with either of them. And I love that they're on my team. I've been waiting my entire life for guys like them. And it makes me so happy I can't even express.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out the people from Pavs and Meek Phil's generation too, because like I had the '90s Knicks, and like when shit was bad, I just think about getting your heart ripped out. But at least it was in like this time of the year. You guys just were raised in the darkness like Bane for the most part. You had like one mellow season with a bunch of old guys like Sheed and Jason Kidd, and Novak was awesome. And
bro, listen to this. When we were out in LA, we all went to lunch, and my brother came with us, and my brother was basically asking Pavs about like what his memories are, and he was like. He said, "What's your earliest like Knicks memory?" And he was like, "The Chris Duhon like 23 assist game." And I was like, "Chris Duhon?" And then he was like, "But the real like memories I really have are from the Heat series." And my brother was like, "From like it's like no, with LeBron." like LeBron James Heat is your first Knicks memories. Is like, oh my God, I'm gonna go put a bullet in my fucking head. I'm so old.
They dropped confetti when they won. They avoided the sweep in Game 4.
Yes.
That's right.
And then they lost the next game. And it was the end of the series.
I had to wait till 8th grade for a playoff win. That's or 7th grade for a playoff win. That's crazy.
Brutal, man.
And the NBA, where like Kyle said, everyone makes the fucking playoffs. You should be able to get into the playoffs,
dude. It's so awesome that as I've come back to watch them, they're playing the Pacers again. It's a totally different feel. It's not like old Knicks Pacers, but just the fact that it's literally Knicks Pacers, which was like an every year playoff matchup. I mean, it was we penciled it in. It was every season we will be in the playoffs playing the Knicks. Playing the Heat, playing the Bulls, playing the Pacers, it was just a guarantee. We were spoiled. We didn't know it.
Yep. Well, back to being spoiled, hopefully.
Yeah, God willing.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
Hey, Kyle.